Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, why this face, why this name, why these parents? Not in a way that's casual or passing, but in the silence of a sleepless night, when your whole life suddenly feels like a strange movie you were cast in, but never auditioned for. Let me tell you something. You were not born to your parents by accident. You didn't happen to show up in your mother's womb like a falling leaf landing at random. No, you were summoned, and your arrival was not a coincidence. It was karma in motion. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. According to Buddhist cosmology, birth is not a beginning, it is a continuation. A page being turned, not the first page being written. And the family you were born into? That page was written by your own hands, long ago. You see, in the timeless rhythm of samsara, the cycle of death and rebirth, your consciousness does not randomly drop into a family tree. It's drawn to the soil where its seeds were sown. And your karmic seeds, your thoughts, intentions, and actions from previous lives, carried an energetic blueprint. That blueprint didn't just magnetize your future, it magnetized your mother, your father, and even the very circumstances of your birth. The painful truth? Yes, some of us are born into violence, into abandonment, into silence so loud it echoes for decades. But the deeper truth? None of this is punishment. It's not divine cruelty. It's the law of cause and effect, a mirror of what needs to be seen, faced, healed, completed. When you truly understand this, you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And you start asking, what is this trying to awaken in me? Because karma is not just about what you've done. It's about what you've left unfinished. Sometimes we come into a family line to repay debts, energetic, emotional, even spiritual. Sometimes we come to restore balance, to return what we once took, to forgive what we once resented, to protect what we once betrayed. And sometimes we come not to repay anything, but to end something, to be the one who stops a cycle that has repeated for generations. Think of this. Have you ever looked at an old photo of your great-grandparents and felt something stir in your chest? A kind of ache or recognition? That's not nostalgia, that's memory. But not the kind your brain holds, the kind your soul carries. Because even if your mind has forgotten, your karma has not. It remembers the grief passed down like an heirloom. It remembers the fear that lived in your father's eyes, and in his father's, and in his father's too. It remembers the way your mother's silence wasn't hers alone, but a silence that belonged to a whole lineage of women who were never allowed to speak. You were born there, in that family, because you are the only one who can hear those echoes, and not be afraid of them anymore. Your parents are not just people. They are portals. They brought you into this life, yes, but more importantly, they brought you back to the very place your karma needed to return to. That's why it hurts sometimes. That's why it feels too personal, too entangled, because it is. You didn't just inherit your father's nose or your mother's laugh. You inherited their karma, reflected in their habits, their wounds, their ways of loving and not loving. But inheritance is not destiny. You are not here to suffer blindly through a script you didn't write. You are here to rewrite it. So take a breath. Whatever your family's story has been, loving, painful, distant, warm, cold, confusing, know this: you are not cursed, you are called to awaken, to remember, to transform the karma that brought you here into a gift that will echo forward. Because even if you were born into chaos, you can become the stillness your lineage has been waiting for. And that's where we begin. Before you took your first breath, before your lungs ever knew air, and long before your name was whispered for the first time, there was a choice, not made by your personality, not by your ego, but by the quiet, lucid clarity of your consciousness. The one that has seen lifetimes, loved and lost empires, wandered deserts of grief and gardens of joy. In Buddhism, there is the teaching of Bhava, the becoming. When death arrives, it is not the end, it is the beginning of becoming. The mind, unshackled from the body, propelled by karma, moves through the liminal space between death and birth, and it chooses. But not like choosing a vacation or a hotel suite, no. This choice is not based on what you want, it's based on what you need to evolve. Imagine this: you're standing on the edge of rebirth. You're not in a rush, you're reflecting. Your last life flashes before you, not just as memories, but as vibrations. You feel the people you harmed, the ones who harmed you, the regrets that stayed unspoken, the love you left unfinished, the growth you resisted, the truths you ignored. And as your karma weighs itself, not with judgment, but with balance, you begin to see, to heal what is broken, I must return to where it cracked. And then you see them, the two souls who will become your parents. Perhaps one is someone you've known before, a mother who was once your daughter, a father who was once your enemy. Perhaps both are strangers in this karmic dance, but hold a frequency you need to encounter. It may not be a frequency of comfort, it might be coldness or anger or neglect. And yet, your soul knows. This is the perfect ground in which to plant the lesson I still haven't mastered. This is the karmic contract, unspoken, invisible, but real. And it's not just a contract with your parents, it's a contract with your entire family line. Maybe you came to learn boundaries, to finally say no in a lineage that always said yes. Maybe you came to forgive betrayal, to finally release a grudge that's lasted centuries. Or maybe you came to remember love, the kind of love that transcends approval, attention, or even presence. The kind of love that exists even when your parents were too broken to offer it. Here's something few are willing to admit. Sometimes your soul chooses difficulty, not to suffer, but to awaken. Because comfort rarely creates transformation. But friction ignites the fire. That argument with your father that never got resolved, that longing for your mother to finally say she's proud, that aching void where love should have been. These are not wounds to carry forever. They are entry points, portals to a deeper compassion for yourself and for them. You didn't sign up for perfection. You signed up for a mirror. And that mirror often reflects exactly what your ego hates and your spirit needs. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it is said that in the bardo, the realm between death and rebirth, the mind sees many possible wombs, many lives, many parents, but it's not attracted to the easiest one. It's drawn toward the resonance of karmic necessity. Your parents were not assigned to you. They were magnetized by your own unfinished energy. Even if you never knew them. Even if they abandoned you. Even if they were unkind or unwell or absent, especially then. Because sometimes, the absence of love is the very condition in which true love is born, not the romantic kind, but the fierce, selfless, unconditional kind that arises when you realize, even if I wasn't shown love, I can still become it. So next time you find yourself resenting the way you were raised, or grieving the family you didn't get to have, pause and ask, what was my soul hoping to learn here? What contract am I being asked to fulfill, not as a burden, but as liberation? Because when you realize you came not to repeat karma, but to transform it, everything changes. The pain becomes the path, the family becomes the field, and your life becomes the teaching. You were born into a story already in motion, a story written not in ink, but in energy. Not on paper, but in pain, in silence, in ritual, in reaction. Long before you spoke your first word, your family had already handed you a script, not because they wanted to control you, but because they hadn't yet remembered how to change the ending. This is inherited karma, not just genetics, not just trauma, but a deeper transmission of fears left unhealed, emotions unspoken, and behaviors rehearsed for generations. Think of your family as a karmic river. Its waters carry grief, expectations, pride, secrets, shame, and somewhere along the current you're born into it. You open your eyes, and the waters begin to flow through you too. You start to believe that love means pleasing others, that anger is dangerous, that silence is safety, that worth is something you must earn. But you weren't born with these beliefs, you inherited them, and unless you awaken, you will pass them on. In Buddhist psychology, the concept of vasana refers to karmic imprints, deep habits of mind and energy shaped across lifetimes and environments. These aren't just personal quirks, they are ancestral patterns. You yell not just because you're angry, but because your father yelled, and his father before that. You shut down not just because you're hurt, but because vulnerability was never safe in your house, because your mother wept in secret and your grandfather never wept at all. These are karmic echoes, repeating until someone finally hears the sound and chooses to stop singing the same song. So ask yourself, what patterns run in your family? Is it the way men disappear when things get hard? Is it the way women carry everything in silence? Is it the addiction, the abandonment, the self-sacrifice that masquerades as love? You don't need to answer out loud, just feel. Because your body remembers what your family forgot. The tension in your shoulders, the clench in your jaw, the sadness that arrives with no clear cause. These are not random. They are the karmic residue asking to be purified. But here's the truth. Just because it was passed down doesn't mean it belongs to you. You are not the grief your mother never spoke. You are not the anger your father swallowed for decades. You are not the shame your grandparents hid behind polite smiles. You are the turning point. The one who chose to come back, to feel it, to face it, to stop it. Not with blame, but with awareness. In every family, there is a silent contract. We don't talk about this. We don't feel that. We survive, but we don't awaken. But you are here to rewrite that contract. You are the one who meditates instead of lashes out. You are the one who says no more, not from rebellion, but from remembrance. You are the one who walks away not in anger, but in peace. Your healing is not selfish, it is ancestral. When you break a pattern, you don't just heal yourself. You heal those who came before you and those who will come after. You become the blessing your lineage forgot it was capable of. A woman once told me, "My grandmother suffered so I could read books. My mother worked 2 jobs so I could rest. Now I choose to heal so my children can laugh freely." That is how karma evolves, not with perfection, but with presence. You may still flinch, you may still carry moments of fear, but if you're willing to witness what your family refused to see, you become the medicine. So pause now, breathe, ask yourself, what unspoken vow did I inherit? What karmic habit lives in me like an old ghost, whispering, "This is just how we are"? And then ask, what happens if I stop believing that? Because the moment you do, the karmic river slows, the flood recedes, and you step onto new land, the land of choice, the land of clarity, the land where your children or your future self will look back and say, that's where it changed. Right there, that's where the story turned. There comes a moment, not always loud, not always planned, when you realize this pain I keep calling fate, maybe it's just a pattern I haven't questioned yet. That's the first breath of liberation. The moment karma stops feeling like a chain and begins to reveal itself as a doorway. You were not born to endlessly repeat the past. You were born to transmute it. In Buddhist teachings, karma is not a punishment. It's a mirror. A reflection of your previous energies, actions, thoughts, intentions, all echoing forward into now. But what most people forget is that karma is fluid. Like water, it moves. Like clay, it can be shaped. And like smoke, it disappears the moment you become fully aware. Because karma isn't just what happens to you. It's also how you meet what happens. That's the hidden teaching. You can't erase what your family did. You can't undo the childhood you lived, or the absence of love that shaped you. But you can meet it now, with consciousness, with courage, with compassion. And the moment you do, the cycle begins to dissolve. Think of a story passed down in your family. Maybe it's the silent belief, we never talk about our feelings. Maybe it's love has to be earned. Maybe it's sacrifice is the price of being loved. You've seen it, you've lived it, and maybe you've even repeated it. But today, what if you paused and gently whispered back, no, not anymore. That's how you begin to rewrite karma, not through dramatic action, but through subtle defiance, through sacred interruptions. You speak when your mother stayed silent. You rest when your father only worked. You hug your child when no one ever hugged you. Each act is small, but each is a revolution. I once sat with a man named Min, a quiet monk who had walked away from a life of deep family trauma. His father was violent, his mother was silent, his home was made of rules, not love. And yet, Min glowed with warmth. He had no bitterness, only calm. When I asked him how he healed, he smiled and said, "I didn't fight my past. I stopped believing it was me." That struck me, because that's where real freedom lives, in the knowing that you are not your karma. You are the one who observes it, and the one who transforms it. So how do you begin? Start with attention. Notice the moment your old stories arise. When someone ignores you and you feel worthless. When you hear raised voices and your body braces. When love gets close and you want to push it away. Pause. Name it. Witness the script trying to write itself again. And then choose differently. Respond. Don't react. Soften. Don't shrink. Forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you do. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful karmic tools, not just for others, but for yourself. Forgive the child you were for not knowing how to ask for love. Forgive the adult you've become for still carrying those wounds. Because the moment you forgive, the past no longer owns your breath. And then, create new rituals. Every morning, light a candle for your lineage. Say silently, "May I carry only what serves truth. May the rest return to the earth." Every time you feel triggered, place a hand on your heart. Remind yourself, this is not mine. This is what I was taught. But I can learn again. Every time you feel afraid of repeating the past, say out loud, "I am the first in my line to choose peace." These words may seem small, but spoken with sincerity, they plant seeds deep within the soil of karma. In Buddhist metaphor, we are all like lotus flowers, rooted in the mud of suffering, but reaching always toward the light. Your family may be the mud, but your spirit is the bloom. You're not here to stay stuck in the soil. You're here to rise through it. So rewrite your story, not to erase what happened, but to reclaim the power to end what no longer needs to happen again. That is your dharma. That is your liberation. That is how you transform the karma of family into the gift of freedom. Some inherit wealth, some inherit names, but all of us, every single one, inherit energy, patterns, stories, wounds. The question is never if karma flows through your family. The question is, what will you do with it now? Because you are not the end of the line, you are the turning point. The one who listens where others screamed, the one who reflects where others reacted, the one who walks forward, carrying not bitterness, but a deeper kind of light. And yes, it's hard. To feel everything your parents never could, to give love where you never saw it modeled, to forgive people who may never say sorry. But if you don't do it, who will? Not because you owe them, but because you love yourself enough to stop bleeding from their wounds. That's what karma asks. Not perfection, not sainthood, just presence, just truth, just the quiet power of someone who says, "This ends with me." So as you move through the days ahead, I leave you with this. Whenever your parents' pain tries to become your personality, pause. Whenever your family's fears try to become your future, breathe. And whenever old patterns whisper, "This is just who we are," I want you to look gently but firmly into that voice and say, "No, this is who I'm becoming." Because you were not born to relive the past. You were born to rewrite it, with kindness, with courage, with karma turned to wisdom. And if your family never taught you how to love, then let your love be the first lesson. Let it echo forward, to children, to friends, to strangers, to your own beautiful healing self. The karma of family is not your prison, it is your pilgrimage. Walk it with grace. If this message moved you, I hope you'll stay close. On this channel, we explore Buddhist wisdom for the heart, not just the mind. Not to escape the world, but to live more truthfully inside it. So before you go, take a deep breath, place your hand on your heart, and remember, you are not alone on this path. You are walking home. And if that journey ever feels heavy, you'll always have a quiet place here to return to. Please consider liking and subscribing, but only if this reflection truly spoke to something inside you. Until next time, keep choosing the light, even when the karma is heavy, especially then.